Adam here from the Walser Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2026 Jeep Compass. We'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, and go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the 26 Jeep Compass, and this is the limited altitude 4x4. So there's a few different trim levels when looking at the 26 Compass. There's a couple new colors, one of which we have today, which is the orange, and it's actually called Juice. I like it a lot. It's especially going into fall. It looks like a big pumpkin going down the road, but you're never gonna lose it in the parking lot. An orange vehicle always stands out, and if you're gonna drive a Jeep, you might as well have it in a fun color. Now, the limited altitude is going to be near the top of the food chain when looking at the Compass, so there's a lot of really cool equipment and stuff we'll cover in here, but we'll cover some of the other trim levels. But for now, let's put it in drive and go for a spin around. Now, let's begin with what powers these little Jeep Compasses. Now, it's a 2-liter turbocharged engine, and it's paired with an 8-speed automatic. Now, what's great about this vehicle, I've been driving around a little bit this morning, it is so smooth. The 8 speeds that Jeep puts into these are just so buttery out on the road. It really does make for a comfortable driving experience. Now, like I said, this one is the 4x4, so it's gonna give you the 4-wheel drive as we're headed late into fall here and maybe into winter time. Snow's coming, so having the 4-wheel drive, especially with the legendary off-road capabilities that the Jeep offers, you know you're gonna have the sure-footedness as well as a bunch of safety built into these vehicles to help you out when the weather turns. Now, one thing that's pretty cool, there's actually little drive modes down here. So just past our gear selector, you can go into a snow mode, so that's gonna help you get the best possible bite and traction, or there's also kind of a sand and mud mode, so if you're playing in the off-road, it has some extra capability and a few drive modes you can select there. Now, while we're on the open road, let's talk about safety. So in the side mirrors, this is gonna have blind spot monitoring. As well, this is gonna have an adaptive cruise control system. So if that's something you've never used before, it is so cool. You can set it right here on the steering wheel. You get a 4-3-2 kind of distance to the vehicle ahead of you. It's gonna keep that distance when you're on the road. If you're running up to the cabin, heading out with the mountain bikes to the trail, that is a sweet feature and something that just kind of takes a load off when you're driving, especially when you're coming home from the trip. Maybe you're not paying attention for a second, the vehicle will keep pace with that kind of vehicle in front of you, and it's really cool. Now, there's also a few emergency systems in here, as well as a lane departure warning system. Some of those features you can actually turn off right here on the dash. So if you don't want the auto start stop feature on, you can just select it here, or that lane departure system. I like that they didn't make it kind of buried in a menu. You can click the button and you're off and running. But I mean, cruising down the road here at 45 miles an hour, it's quiet, it's comfortable. One thing I really like on the inside here is these seats. These seats are going to be heated for the driver and the passenger. My seat is also going to be power with a lumbar control as well. And I've got a leather wrapped heated steering wheel. The heated steering wheel, like when it's cold this morning, like it was at about 40 degrees, you actually have a remote start on the key fob. So you can fire it up. The vehicle is nice and toasty when you hop in. And having that heated steering wheel is a game changer if it's something you haven't had before. Now, a few other little cool things inside here. We've got our Uconnect system. So Uconnect is going to be the infotainment screen in this vehicle, and I think Jeep's Uconnect is one of the better ones out today. Now, something that's cool about it, wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto, no matter which one of the Jeep Compasses you're looking at. Now, I paired my phone up in about 30 seconds. Google Maps, text messaging, Spotify, it's all built into here. It makes it so simple to not be messing with your phone when you're on the go. Now, there's a nice little storage cubby kind of down past the shift selector here, or just between the cup holders, they kind of left a little phone storage. So your phone can be near, but using the Apple CarPlay, you're not going to be messing with it when you're on the road. Now, there's also a great backup camera in there. That's what's really cool, is it does have parking sensors on the rear of the vehicle. So if you can't quite see something behind you, the backup camera is very clear, makes it very simple to park, and this isn't a very large vehicle, so that also helps as well. Now, one cool thing is the digital gauge cluster. So there's 10 different menus in there. So basically, it's gonna give you all of your information you need to look at in a hurry, whether that's your speedo or some of your like tire pressure, some of your temperatures, that kind of stuff. It's all right built into there. Just the left side of the steering wheel lets you control that, as well as your phone buttons to answer and kind of hang up calls. And then on the other side is going to be for that adaptive cruise control. Then there is behind the steering wheel actually volume controls. Kind of hard to show on camera, but you can skip tracks or move the volume up and down, so you're not kind of messing around looking for the volume knob. Then the inlay in here is cool. It's kind of a blue stitching that runs through, and there's a little bit of piano black and kind of this leather material on the dash. It does kind of feel like a baby Grand Cherokee. They really did style these Compasses up pretty nicely. And that also goes to the exterior. So like I said, the juice color on the outside, I think it's fun. I think that's kind of the heart and soul of the Jeep, is just to kind of have some fun when you're behind the wheel. You can see the orange in the reflection of the side view mirrors or on the hood. It's just a great color, and I think fits this vehicle very nicely. Now this one also kind of has a preferred package, so we've got the titanium colored 19-inch wheels, and like I said, the 4x4, this wheel and tire setup is great. Most people with the Compass, I assume, are going to do a lot more on-road driving than maybe like a Wrangler where you're going to go off-roading. So it's a quiet tire on the road, and it just has a great design and look to it. Now it keeps that kind of standard 7-slat grille up front that you'd expect with Jeep. Some of the heritage features from that 1941, like when you start the infotainment screen, or there's a little tiny Jeep up here on the windshield, the shadow kind of moves around, and it's really hard to show, but there's also a Loch Ness monster on the back. So just a couple little fun Easter eggs behind the wheel of the vehicle, or stuff you can see around the inside. Now, speaking of the cargo area, the Limited will add the power liftgate back there, so you can click the button on the key fob, click the button on the back of the vehicle. That's going to open it up. There's actually a surprising amount of storage room in here. For this being Jeep's smallest SUV, there is quite a bit of room, and it's a 60-40 split rear seat. So if you don't have the family with you, you're not hauling the kids around, you can actually flip those seats down, and that gives you quite a bit of room as well. Maybe you found yourself at IKEA buying something you weren't planning on. You're actually going to be surprised just how much room is actually in this vehicle. There's also underfloor storage. So this particular one just has the tire mobility kit, so that frees up a ton of room to leave stuff, whether it's like toe straps or boots or something else you want to leave under the floor out of sight. That's pretty cool as well. And then just little storage cubbies on each side of the storage area. Now, like I said, with the kids in the back, there's actually USB charging back there. If you got your devices with you, like you said, maybe making the cabin trip, going out to the trail, you can keep everything charged up, keep the kids happy in the back. And actually where I was at 6'1", this one doesn't have a sunroof or anything, so you do get even a little bit more headroom, but I was surprised at just how much space you get in the back of this little Compass. Overall, the ride and drive, it's pretty good. You know, you never really know when you hop into these new little turbocharged engines. You think, ah man, I really miss the V6, until you put your foot down. The 8-speed is very responsive in here, and that turbocharger pushes you along right away. But the coolest thing is the fuel economy in return for not having a V6, 31 mpg on the highway with the 4-wheel drive. So this is a very fuel efficient little vehicle. It just kind of sips gas when you're on the go, but if you need the power, you can put your foot down and it kind of pushes you right along just fine. And then the ride and drive, it's kind of the tail end of road construction season here. You don't really get a lot of wind noise in the cabin. The tires are nice and quiet in here. Like I said, it's not like bouncing around in a Wrangler. This is definitely more on-road focused. Whether it's your first vehicle or you've had a Compass in the past, these are just fun, easy to live with day-to-day vehicles. I mean, the steering is kind of just the right amount of heavy and light. It doesn't kind of wander around the road like some smaller or crossover SUVs, just has a good feel to it. And like I said, the technology and the infotainment here is so good to use that it really is a great, whether it's A to B vehicle or road trip vehicle for you, the Compass just kind of works. So this one also will get a dual zone climate control, so both driver and passenger can set that, and then they just leave a few other little controls down here, as well as USB and USB-C charging with a nice little cubby down here, again, like I said, for your phone or anything else. But I mean, overall, I know it's kind of a lot of information quickly, but these are just great little cars. Like I said, this would make the perfect first vehicle because nothing in here is overcomplicated, and it just kind of seems to get it done from everything you need. When we're looking at the average new car price right now in the US, it's $49,000. This particular one, pretty much fully loaded, MSRP is around $37,000. But you're not getting $12,000 less of average equipment. I mean, we're still getting remote start, heated seats with a heated steering wheel, wireless Apple CarPlay, adaptive cruise control, and so much more. I mean, there's a lot to like out of these little Compasses. Maybe you don't need the big Grand Cherokee, or you don't need a Wagoneer for everybody. The car seats can still fit in the back. You can fold the seats down for room, yet you can still put a roof rack up above if you want to get into some of those outdoor adventure stuff. I think the Jeep Compass, if you're shopping Honda, Toyota, GMC, Chevrolet, I think anything, this kind of has a good look and feel to it, and I think competes pretty nicely with all those. So I think it's definitely one to add to the list to come out, take for a spin, and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 26 Jeep Compass. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.